Pulled from the edge, a struggling CEO's heartwarming rescue of a pregnant girl revealed an amazing transformation. In the heart of New York City, where skyscrapers loom like sentinels over the toiling masses, Jack Thompson found himself lost. Once a titan of industry, he walked those streets adorned with the pride of a self-made man. Now, at 42, he trudged home feeling like a ghost, haunted by the echoes of his former success. His suit, once tailored to perfection, hung off him like a costume meant for someone else. Each step on the gritty pavement became more labored under the weight of uncertainty, dragging him closer to the ledge of financial ruin. Then, when he least expected it, he stumbled upon a young girl huddled against a grimy brick wall, her hand protectively cradling her swollen belly. Emily, no more than 18, wore an expression of fear that pierced through Jack's guarded exterior. Her tears mixed with the freezing wind as she confessed her family's rejection for becoming a single mother. Jack felt his heart twist, a chill that was more than the cold night air. Memories of his own estranged daughter hit him like a punch to the gut, a visceral reminder of what he had lost in his relentless pursuit of success. Kneeling before her, he saw not just a girl in distress, but someone reminding him of all he had failed to protect. "You're not alone," he said, his voice catching in his throat. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a few crumpled bills. "Let me help you. Let us get you some food." In that moment, empathy thawed the ice around his heart. Jack understood that this small act couldn't fix everything, but perhaps it could mend something deep inside of him. As they walked together, Jack noticed the world around them seemed to pulse with energy. The city was alive with judgments, whispers of his fall from grace weaving into the cacophony of honking taxis and distant sirens. "Look at him, helping a girl like that," he imagined them saying. "What happened to the Jack Thompson we used to know?" But he dismissed their chatter, realizing that his heart had expanded in ways he hadn't anticipated. Helping Emily awoke a warmth he thought he had buried beneath spreadsheets and board meetings. He offered her a chance at dignity, and in doing so, he found a flicker of his own purpose. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue, but the deeper their connection grew, the heavier the stakes became. Jack faced a looming ultimatum from a major investor who warned him that his new priorities, a young girl and her unborn child, were a distraction, jeopardizing the very foundation of his company. The moment of reckoning arrived, a charity gala where his every decision would be scrutinized. As friends and foes filled the room, he reflected on the choices he had made. He was at a crossroads, his heart thumping wildly against his chest, painfully aware that the only thing standing between him and everything he had ever known was the tender bond he shared with Emily. But just as he prepared to lay bare his newfound convictions, a stranger emerged from the crowd, delivering news that could shatter the fragile hope they had built. Jack swallowed hard, the room closing in around him, his mind racing with uncertainty. What would he choose now? The empty allure of his past, or the profound connection blossoming in the face of judgment? In that crucial moment, everything remained suspended, leaving Jack teetering on the edge, teetering toward an unknown future where compassion fought against the grinding weight of societal expectations. Jack felt the weight of the room pressing in on him. The opulence of the gala glittered like a mirage, but all he could see were the harsh realities standing before him. The stranger, a tall man with an imposing presence and a raised eyebrow, had just delivered news that both electrified and terrified him. "Your company is sinking, Jack," the man had said, his voice dripping with condescension. "You either snap back or you'll drift into obscurity. Do you really want to be remembered as that guy who helped a pregnant girl?" The memory of Emily's soft, desperate smile filled his mind, reminding him of the warmth she brought to his very bones. He glanced back at her across the vibrant hall. Her eyes shone with a mix of hope and fear, searching for a beacon in the storm. Could she stand by him through this upheaval? His heart raced anew, and for the first time in years, he felt the thrum of purpose ignite within him. "Your investor is right," Jack said slowly, addressing the crowd, a sudden thrill mingling with his trepidation. "I am at a crossroads. And while I respect this company, I can no longer pretend that simple profits outweigh the people behind those figures." The silence hung heavy. He could hear a pin drop. He twisted his hands tightly in his pockets, wishing they could somehow steady his pounding heart. "But it's more than just numbers," he continued, feeling a surge of clarity as he looked around the room. "I stand before you today not just as a CEO, but as a father who has made mistakes and as a man who understands the value of compassion, of family, and of second chances." A murmur rippled through the audience. He caught Robert, his main investor, sneering at him from the corner of his eye. Jack forged on, pushing through the uncertainty, channeling his resolve. "I met someone, Emily, and she taught me that how we treat one another matters far more than the bottom line. It's time to redefine success." The applause started slow, hesitant at first, but soon built up as Jack's words gained traction. Tears pricked Emily's eyes, and Jack's stomach tightened as he witnessed the first glimmers of reassurance wash over her face. He could finally see himself in her reflection, the broken pieces slowly gathering, forming something new and vibrant, but as the claps faded, Jack faced the reality of a deeper challenge. His words had set off a chain reaction. He could feel Robert's glare blazing at him, filled with indignation and resistance. "You'll regret this," Jack imagined Robert retorting. The looming threat of losing everything spiked in his throat, a bitter taste of fear mixing with his newfound determination. In that moment, Jack knew he needed a plan. He had ignited a fire, but was it enough to hold back the storm? There were still business meetings to attend, tough discussions about budget cuts that could affect his employees, and angry investors whose loyalty was fragile at best. His heart and mind were already in turmoil, poring over the inevitable fallout of his public stand, but just as he turned to spare Emily a glance, a new figure stepped forward from the shadows. A woman with striking blonde hair approached him, her eyes piercing through the crowd. She had a sharp, knowing smile, and Jack felt an unexpected sense of impending change in her presence. "I've been looking for you, Jack," she said, her voice calm, yet commanding. "I believe we have some important things to discuss." The room shifted, and Jack felt a chill run down his spine. Who was she? What did she want? And most importantly, how would this new encounter affect everything he had just built up in that moment of hope? The air grew thick with uncertainty as he stood at the precipice of change, now faced with yet another choice. Would he plunge further into this new journey, or step back from the ledge he had just bravely wandered onto? Jack's instincts immediately kicked in. He had fought too hard to regain his footing. Opening himself up with the crowd had felt exhilarating, yet the risk now felt palpable in the air. The woman's stare was unwavering. There was something magnetic about her presence, yet it dredged up unease along with curiosity. "Who are you?" he asked, forcing the words out, seeking an anchor amidst the tension. "Let's just say I'm someone who believes in second chances," she replied, her lips curving into a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "And I admire your courage tonight. But you might need a little help if you want to make this work." The edge of the gala hall buzzed with whispers, but Jack felt like he was in a bubble a world apart from the clinking glasses and melodic laughter around them. He couldn't shake off the idea of Emily sitting alone, waiting for him to return, but he recognized an instance that could either build a bridge or burn everything he'd worked for. "I don't need help," Jack said, the words coming out more defensively than he intended. "I've made my choice." "Have you?" she replied, tilting her head slightly, her confidence unwavering. "You've chosen to speak for the people. But I know Robert. I know what he is capable of. And unless you adapt quickly, well, let us just say you won't be remembering this moment fondly." Her voice dripped with complications. It clawed at Jack's skin, igniting that fire of determination once more. "And what do you suggest?" he countered, crossing his arms, trying to maintain some sense of control. "I have connections. Resources. You have a vision. Let us bring them together. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. What your investors want is profit. What you want is to build something meaningful. The two can coexist, but you need leverage. Jack's heartbeat quickened, not just from fear but from the prospect of what this could mean. It felt like a gamble, but wasn't he everything he'd been through a series of bets? He shook his head to clear it. And what's in it for you? There's always something in it for me, Jack, she said, the corners of her mouth still turned upward. But today, I want to help you. We could create a plan that speaks to your values and silences the criticisms from Robert and his kind. All I need is your trust. Her words echoed in the cavernous space of the gala. Trust. It seemed simultaneously terrifying and liberating. Would this be like handing over the reins of his life to a virtual stranger? He glanced back at Emily. She was still watching, her expression open and hopeful, fully unaware of the undertow that had just gripped Jack's life. I'll consider it, he said slowly, weighing the words as if they were precious stones. He couldn't fully commit, not yet. But he could feel something shift within him, a needle of hope threading through the fabric of uncertainty. Good, she replied, her smile widening into something that felt warmer, almost genuine. But don't take too long. Time is not on your side. With that, she turned and melted back into the crowd, leaving Jack standing in the same spot, his heart racing. Questions swirled within him. Could he really trust this woman? What would be the repercussions of his choice? As time ticked on and reality sank in with an intensity that was almost unbearable, Jack knew he needed to take action. But first, there was something more important than business to attend to, an irreplaceable bond waiting for him in the sea of celebration. With a deep breath, he made his way back toward Emily, resolved to share his plan and the new conversation in his mind. Was this going to be another moment of hesitation, or would he grasp this new reality and follow through? All he knew was that every decision now mattered. He approached Emily, where she sat, her heart beat parallel to his own. With courage igniting inside him, he asked, "Can I tell you about some changes I'm thinking of making?" As the words left his lips, a glint of understanding passed through her eyes. It felt electric, exhilarating, and terrifying all at once. But would this leap of faith lead them toward safety or put them on a collision course with disaster? Jack took a steadying breath as he met Emily's gaze. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity, warmth radiating from her very being. Here was the safe harbor he had sought, the anchor in a storm of decisions and doubts. But could he share the chaos swirling within him? Changes? She echoed, her voice soft yet methodical. She leaned forward, and Jack noticed how the dim lights played off her smooth skin. What do you mean? He hesitated, searching for the right words. The gala, it's about more than just us. I've been thinking about the project, about our future. Emily's brow furrowed slightly, and Jack felt a pang of regret. I'm not talking about the usual plans or numbers. I'm considering, risking it all. What do you mean? Her voice was now laced with concern. Jack, what have you been considering? He glanced toward the crowd, his heart racing again as he remembered the mysterious woman and her tantalizing yet dangerous proposition. There's a woman who claims she can help bring my vision to life. But it comes with strings attached. I don't know if I can trust her, but what I do know is this: if I don't act fast, I might lose everything, including the chance to make a real difference. Emily inhaled sharply. Jack, this sounds risky. You're talking about a leap into unknown waters. Are you sure it's not just the pressure talking? It hurt to hear doubt in her voice, but it also fueled his resolve. I need to take this chance. I can't just sit back and play it safe anymore. I believe I can create something that truly impacts this community. Something good. But it means stepping into a gray area I never thought I'd enter. Have you considered how this could affect us? Her eyes were wide, a mixture of apprehension and understanding washing over her features. You're not just making decisions for yourself anymore. He reached out, taking her hand in his, feeling a rush of comfort. I know. And that's exactly why I need to share this with you. I can't do it alone. I want you by my side because if I'm diving into the unknown, I want you with me. Her hand was warm, grounding him as she searched his expression. But what if it doesn't work? What if you lose everything? Then I won't regret trying, he replied, his voice firm. And neither will we. For a long moment, the world around them faded, guests laughing, chandeliers shimmering overhead. All that remained was the vibrant pulse of the moment surrounding them. He could see the wheels turning in her mind, and she finally nodded slowly. I trust you, Jack. But promise me something. If this goes south, we'll know how to support each other, no matter what. I promise, he said with a deep breath that seemed to fill the gap between their hearts. Suddenly, the sound of laughter and cheers erupted nearby, pulling them back into the bustling reality. Jack's heartbeat quickened again, this time from an unexpected thrill. Hope filled the space once occupied by doubt. They were a team, united in their journey, but just as he began to feel the strength of their connection, a figure caught his eye from the corner of the room, the woman from earlier. She was watching from across the hall, her smile enigmatic and her gaze piercing. What could she want now? He turned back to Emily, a sense of urgency flooding his system. I need to talk to her, he said, the weight of his decision becoming clearer. This might be the moment that changes everything. As he moved away from Emily, determination set in. But deep down, a nagging suspicion whispered that this was just the beginning of a different kind of battle. What truths were yet to be revealed? Would he find what he sought, or would the darkness shadow his every move? Jack weaved through the crowd, his focus locked onto the mysterious woman. Every step felt weighted, charged with possibilities and latent fears. The thrum of conversations whirled around him, but they faded into mere background noise. He could feel Emily's watchful gaze on his back, a tether of connection that both comforted and haunted him. As he reached the woman, she turned fully to face him, her long, dark hair cascading over her shoulders. There was a magnetism about her, a blend of allure and danger. Her smile widened, revealing the slightest hint of mischief. Ah, there you are, Jack, she said, her voice smooth and inviting. I was beginning to think you wouldn't come. Who are you? He cut straight through the niceties, urgency propelling his words. Why do you think you can help me? I have my ways, she replied cryptically, her eyes sparkling with secrets. But you need to understand, Jack, this isn't just about opportunity. It's about taking risks. The kind only a few have the guts to embrace. I'm not here for some vague assurances or riddles, he shot back, his patience thinning. What do you want from me? Her eyes turned serious, the playful demeanor shifting like clouds before a storm. I want to offer you a partnership, something unconventional. Together, we can turn your vision into reality. You have potential, Jack, you just need to harness it properly. He felt the weight of her words press upon him, intermingled with doubt. But at what cost? I've already got enough on my plate. I cannot risk what little stability I have left. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. What is stability but a cage? You're a fire waiting to ignite, Jack. But you have to want it enough to step outside the norm. Think about what you could achieve. And ruin everything I've built? He countered, though uncertainty crept into his voice. I've worked hard for this. It's not just me anymore. Emily, I can't put her at risk. Her eyes softened ever so slightly. True, true. But are you truly willing to play it safe and watch your dreams fade into nothing? Emily deserves a partner who is willing to fight, not just settle. Jack's thoughts spun, the promise of success warring with images of insecurity and potential loss. He imagined Emily waiting, concern etched on her face. Would she understand if he followed this path? Before he could speak, she slipped a piece of paper into his hand. Meet me tomorrow at noon just around the corner, near the coffee shop. It's time for you to decide, Jack. Don't let the fear keep you from greatness. He stared at her, caught between curiosity and trepidation. Just as he was about to respond, she turned and melted into the crowd, leaving him with the scrap of paper clutched tightly in his palm. Beneath his growing anxiety, a flicker of excitement danced, tempting him toward the uncertainty. But then, he recalled the warmth of Emily's hand in his, promising support no matter where he would go. Taking a deep breath, he turned to find her in the crowd, a radiant beacon that pulled him back from the brink. She was talking to an elderly couple, her laughter a soothing balm against the chaos of the night. Jack approached her, torn between the pulse of ambition brewing within him and the stability of the love they had built together. He felt a storm brewing inside, one that was threatening to spill over. "Hey," he said softly, taking her hand again, searching her face for the reassurance he craved. "You won't believe what just happened." With the gala murmuring around them, he felt like he was standing at the edge of an unknown sea, the tides pulling him out to deeper waters. Would he plunge in and swim, or pull back to the familiar shore? The choice felt monumental, and it terrified him, but then he caught a glimpse of that mysterious woman weaving through the throng, her presence a haunting promise of what lay ahead. What was he about to decide? Jack felt the ground beneath him shift as he stood there, Emily's hand warm in his. His mind raced with conflicting thoughts. The mysterious woman's words echoed in his ears, intertwining with the familiar rhythm of the gala around them. What if he chose the path of ambition? What if he didn't? He watched Emily's laughter ripple through the crowd, drawing smiles from the people near her. Did she really understand the kind of risks he could take? The stakes felt high. Just thinking about it was overwhelming. The thought of entangling her in his ambitions terrified him, yet the allure of that woman's proposition called out like a siren across stormy waters. "Jack." Emily's voice cut through his contemplation, making him refocus on her. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity, an invitation to forget the chaos swirling in his mind, if only for a moment. "Yeah, sorry. I got distracted," he managed to chuckle awkwardly, masking the storm brewing within. She smiled, her gaze locking onto his. "Are you okay? You seem distant." He hesitated, the weight of his decision pressing against his chest. Should he share what he'd just experienced? Would it change how she saw him? He opened his mouth, the words right there at the tip of his tongue, but they wouldn't come out. Instead, he squeezed her hand tighter, hoping to find some grounding amid the uncertainty. "Just a lot on my mind," he finally said, hoping it would suffice. "Let's make a toast," she suggested, raising her glass, an infectious brightness in her eyes. "To us. To new beginnings." Jack followed her lead, clinking their glasses. He watched as she took a sip, her demeanor sparkling with optimism. A mix of love and desperation clawed at him. He wanted more than what he had, but was that a fair expectation to hold on Emily? Would chasing his dreams truly lead to something greater, or would it unravel everything? He spotted the woman at the edge of the room again. This time, she was conversing with another group, her confidence radiating through every gesture. It struck him how much he craved that level of conviction. To feel certain about something, anything, even if it meant risking the stability he had worked so hard to create. He wondered if he was just running toward a fantasy, or if there was truth in her words. "Jack." Emily's voice interrupted, drawing him back from his thoughts. "Are you sure you're all right? You've been kind of off tonight." "I'm fine," he said a little too quickly, noticing her raised eyebrow. "Look," she leaned in closer, lowering her voice. "If there is something bothering you, you can talk to me. I'm here for you, you know." The sincerity in her words warmed him, making his heart ache. "I know it's just," he stopped, the weight of his contemplation holding him back. "I just feel." He wanted to say lost, confused, but instead, he forced a smile. "Things are changing, and I'm trying to figure it out." The corner of Emily's mouth turned up softly, yet concern lingered in her eyes. "Change can be good. Just don't forget to lean on me, okay?" We'll face everything together. He nodded, swallowing hard. For a brief moment, he allowed himself to visualize their future stability, growth, love. But then the image shifted, making room for the unknown void that beckoned him from the shadows. What if I told you I might have an opportunity, but it could change everything? He ventured. Then I do want to hear about it, she replied, a gentle confidence radiating from her. Whatever it is, we can handle it together. Her words struck him like a lifeline in the dark waters he was navigating. But before he could dig deeper into that conversation, the cabaret's lights dimmed, announcing a performance. As the crowd turned to watch in silence, his heart raced. The performance was starting, but his mind was wrestling with the promise he'd been given and the life he currently cherished. What would he choose when the curtain fell? Would he seize the moment, or let it slip away? In the silence of his thoughts, he felt himself being pulled in two directions, the uncertain future lurking just around the corner. The moment felt ripe with conflict and anticipation, but what was he willing to risk for something he wasn't sure he wanted? He took a deep breath as he locked eyes with Emily, a sense of clarity or perhaps confusion washing over him. When the show was over, would his decision still be in the balance? Or would he leap toward the unknown, leaving the shore behind forever? The stage illuminated softly, casting a warm glow over the performers as they moved gracefully to the rhythm of the music. Jack's focus shifted there, yet part of him remained anchored to Emily's steady presence beside him. The rhythm pulsed through the room, but his heart thrummed with conflicting beats, anxiety clashing with desire that he turned slightly to watch the way Emily absorbed the performance. There was something effortless about her joy, a sparkling light that seemed both innocent and profoundly wise. Jack savored that moment, knowing it was everything he had always wanted, someone to share both the glimmering and the heavy moments of life, but as the dancers twirled and leaped, thoughts of the mysterious woman dug into his chest. He could almost hear her voice, urging him to reach out, to take risks that could propel him into uncharted territories. What if, it whispered, this is your chance? The song crescendoed, and his grip around Emily tightened. She glanced at him, her own confusion hidden behind her playful smile. Hey, you okay? She squeezed his hand, bringing him back to the present. He didn't want to burden her with heavy thoughts. He hesitated. For a moment, the bliss of the gala felt like it was closing in around him. What if he said the wrong thing? What if he let her down? I'm just thinking about how much I want to make life better for us. Emily tilted her head, her eyes searching his. Better how? You mean with your career? Something like that, he replied vaguely, feeling the thrill of ambition rise within him. But it was quickly tempered by the weight of responsibility. I just don't know what that'll mean for us. The performance ended, and the crowd erupted into applause, the sound enveloping them for just a moment. Jack managed a smile at Emily's enthusiasm, but inside, a tempest brewed. Let us go outside for a breath of fresh air, she suggested, her instincts attuned to the subtleties of his mood. He nodded, relieved at the prospect of stepping away from the glitz of the gala for a moment. As calm, once outside, the cool night air enveloped them, scattering some of the tension. Stars twinkled above, adding a sense of infinite possibilities. Emily leaned against the railing, watching him with a gentle curiosity that both comforted and alarmed him. What's really going on, Jack? She asked quietly, her voice sincere yet unwavering. You can talk to me. He swallowed hard, wrestling with his fears. I don't want to lose you if I go after something bigger. What if I take this leap and it doesn't work out? Her expression softened, her warmth pouring over him like honey. What if it does work out? What if it leads to something amazing? Change is scary, I get that. But we can't keep living in fear. You deserve to chase your dreams. Those words stirred something within him. They were the push he needed, but the reality of it struck him like a punch. What if pursuing his dreams meant stepping away from the life they had built together? Emily, he struggled for the right words. I want to make this work, but you deserve someone who is sure of himself. I don't want to pull you into a world of uncertainty. But you're talking about your potential, she countered gently, a fierce protectiveness shining in her gaze. Don't you think I want to be there through it all? We can create our futures together. Her sincerity washed over him, yet the turmoil remained. Could he truly open himself to an uncertain path? The moment felt heavy with the weight of unchosen possibilities. As they stood on the precipice of honesty, the gala's din faded behind them. He felt the pull of fate, one that could shift everything. The mysterious woman's face floated in his mind. This was his moment, but could he truly grasp it without losing Emily in the process? Jack took a deep breath, ready to voice his truth, but just then, a sudden commotion erupted from behind them. Voices raised in alarm. Jack! Emily! Over here! A familiar face shouted. They turned to see one of their friends looking panicked, urgency etched across his features. What's happening? Jack asked, heart pounding, suddenly steeped in dread. There's been an accident, we need your help. A rush of adrenaline kicked in, overshadowing all doubts. Jack exchanged a look with Emily, the weight of the night overshadowed by the gravity of the situation unfolding around them. Was this their moment of truth? As they hurried back inside, Jack couldn't help but feel the threads of his life weaving tighter together. Would the chaos pull him closer to the edge, or finally set him on a new course? As they pushed through the ornate doors back into the ballroom, chaos enveloped them. The laughter and music that had earlier wrapped around Jack and Emily like a comforting blanket now transformed into frantic shouts and concerned murmurs. People darted about, exchanging anxious glances. Jack's stomach sank, a knot of anxiety forming. What happened? He pressed, urgency rushing his voice. Their friend, Tyler, faced them, his eyes wide. There's been a car crash just outside. They think there's someone trapped inside the vehicle. They need as many people as they can to help. Every heartbeat seemed to echo in Jack's ears. A million thoughts flashed through his mind. What if it were serious? What if someone didn't make it? He felt Emily's hand slip into his, grounding him. Let us go, she said, determination flickering in her eyes. As they rushed outside again, the cool air felt electric. A crowd gathered where the headlights of the emergency vehicles sliced through the night, illuminating the scene. Jack caught sight of the wreck, metal twisted like an old piece of candy wrapper pushed to the limit. His heart raced. Jack strained to identify the figures scurrying around the wreckage, and then he heard a faint cry. It was soft yet persistent, threading through the chaos. Over here. A voice called, and Jack was swept up in the surge of people toward the sound. They arrived at a sedan, half crushed beneath the weight of another vehicle. Paramedics worked furiously to pry open a door. The cry pierced through the noise again, rising and falling like a wounded song. Please help, she's in there. A frantic woman stood a little ways off. Her face was pale, eyes wide with fear. Jack's breath caught. He stepped forward, compelled to act, but fear nagged at him. What if he didn't know enough to help? What if he made things worse? Jack! Emily's voice pulled him back. We can't just stand here. We need to do something. Right, he muttered uncertainly, but the conviction was building. He was a decent swimmer but felt like he was drowning in this unfamiliar chaos. The rescuers worked harder, yet the cries continued, more desperate now. Jack swallowed. But what was it they needed most? Every instinct screamed at him to spring into action. He needed to connect with the person trapped inside. Stay here with me, he said to Emily, squeezing her hand with a fierce grip. She nodded, her determination echoing his own. As Tyler joined another group helping the paramedics with equipment, Jack felt a surge of energy rush through him. He stepped closer to the wreckage, eager to somehow reassure whoever was trapped inside. Hey, we're here. Can you hear me? A momentary silence followed his call, and then the cries emerged again, tinged with panic. Please, I can't. Jack felt his heart rush for the trapped voice. He had to get to her. Hang in there. We're getting you out. It was all he could think of to say. Then, in the dim light, he glimpsed movement in the back seat. There was a woman, visibly pregnant, her face pale and glistening with sweat. Anxiety gripped his throat. He'd seen the love and warmth in mothers-to-be. The fragility of life right before his eyes. "Keep talking to her," Emily urged, as her voice broke through the tension. Jack nodded, still locked onto the scene, feeling the weight of the moment. "Can you hear me? Just focus on my voice. We're going to help you, I promise." The cries quieted, turning into soft whimpers. Jack's heart soared ever so slightly at that small sign of connection. But just as he felt a glimmer of hope, everything shifted again. A paramedic turned to him, grim determination etched across her features. "We need you to stay back. We can't guarantee safety until we've secured the area." Jack opened his mouth to argue, but Emily tightened her grip on him. "Not now, Jack. You can't push forward. We need to listen." The screech of metal against metal filled the air as the rescue team worked, making him feel helpless and frustrated, but in that moment of chaos, Jack realized one undeniable truth. This was more than just an accident, it was a fork in the road. A chance to truly act, not only for himself but for someone else, someone he didn't even know. Was he ready to embrace that? As hope flickered against the shadows, he found himself at a crossroads. Could this moment lead him to understand what truly mattered right before his eyes? And as lights flashed and voices shouted commands, he knew his heart was poised to leap into the unknown, whatever that meant. "Jack! We need to go for help. Now!" Emily urged, pulling him back to reality. "What do you mean?" he asked, uncertainty creeping in again. "This isn't just about us anymore. We can't do this alone." As confusion clouded his mind, the weight of that night settled heavily on his shoulders. What came next would be a choice that could change everything. And as the sirens blared in urgency, he felt the air crackling with energy. Would they rise to the challenge, or would he lose everything he held dear? Jack felt the pull of Emily's urgency against the wave of uncertainty that threatened to drown him. "Go for help," he repeated, feeling the weight of every decision pressing down on his chest. "What do we even do?" Emily's eyes sparkled with determination as she scanned the scene, taking in the chaos while keeping her focus. "We need to get more people. They're going to need equipment, anything that can help them get her out. We could make a difference, Jack." He looked back at the damaged car, at the woman whose pleas were fading into whimpers. Each breath felt like a trap, pulling him deeper into the fray, and yet anchoring him to the realization that time was precious. His heart raced in sync with the pulsing lights of emergency vehicles, a visceral reminder that they were in the thick of something monumental. "Okay," he breathed, letting go of Emily's hand just long enough to catch the fierce glint in her eyes. "Let us do this." They sprinted toward the gathering of people, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The scene was frenetic, paramedics shouted instructions, and the crowd murmured anxiously. It felt like being in a storm, everything whirling around them. "Over there." Emily pointed to a group of volunteers near a supplies truck, already organizing emergency gear. Jack's instincts kicked into gear, and he pushed forward with Emily by his side. They reached the group, breathless but ready. "Do you need more people?" Jack called out, the intensity in his voice catching the attention of several volunteers. "Yes. We need all hands on deck." A woman with a dark ponytail yelled back. "Can anyone help us with tools?" Prized opened the other side of the car. "Emily!" Jack shouted as he spotted a crew carrying crowbars. "Let us grab some of those." They sprinted toward the tools, and Jack's hand wrapped around the cool metal of a crowbar. It felt powerful, heavy, it could tear through metal and rescue someone from despair. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. With both tools in hand, they rushed back, the world slipping away as they focused solely on the trapped woman. The paramedics had carefully coaxed the cries to quiet, and calm had settled, but urgency hung in the air. "Stay calm," Jack shouted, trying to shield the terrified mother from the despair surrounding them. "We're going to help you." There was a hint of tremor in his own voice, but he kept steadying his own nerves with the hope that his words would reach her. Emily joined him, her voice soft yet firm. "We're ready to pull this open," she said, gesturing toward the twisted back door. Determined, the two wedged the crowbar into the crack, straining against the metal. The sound of screeching metal filled the air, but Jack pushed through, willing his body to remain strong. He glanced momentarily at Emily, and their eyes locked. In that instant, they were two allies fighting against the odds. "Just a little more," Emily encouraged, planting her feet firmly on the ground. The crowd around them held their breath, the air thick with anticipation. With a final heave, the metal screeched open just enough for a paramedic to slide into the cramped space. "We've got her!" the paramedic shouted, relief washing over the gathered crowd. Jack felt a flood of warmth wash over him at the sight. The image of hope snaking through despair was as beautiful as a sunrise, but then, he heard it. A quieter cry, but laced with alarm. She's not responding. "We need to hurry." Jack's heart dropped. In that moment, all the determination they had mustered felt fragile and fleeting. "Push forward, Jack!" Emily shouted, squeezing his arm as if her strength could transfer to him. "We can't stop now. Not now." With the weight of their mission pressing on him, Jack nodded, adrenaline surging. They had come this far, there was no turning back. But there was a thread of doubt weaving through his resolve. Would they pull her from the brink, or would they lose everything they hoped to save? As the sounds of rushing feet and muffled commands echoed in the night, Jack grasped for the flickering hope that guided him through the darkness. Would they survive this night, or would they face an even greater loss? Amid the chaos and clatter of the accident scene, Jack's determination surged deep within him. The echoes of despair mingled with the cries of those around him. All he could think about was the trapped woman, the pregnant mother who needed a lifeline. He tightened his grip on the crowbar, channeling all his fear and anxiety into strength. "Stay with us," he shouted, his voice firm, cutting through the thick air. Emily remained by his side, unwavering. Together, they settled into a rhythm, prying open the wreckage until the door creaked and the space widened. Seconds turned into hours, and yet, it felt as if time had come to a halt. The paramedic scrambled into the wreck, his face set with grim determination. "Keep it steady," he barked. Jack and Emily locked eyes again. There was something electric about that gaze, a shared resolve that ignited new energy. "We're almost there," Jack called out, and they had barely registered the grunt of agreement from the paramedic before slivers of hope began to break through. Then suddenly, as the darkness loomed, she emerged. The paramedic cradled the woman, her limp body stark against the chaos surrounding them. The crowd gasped, for life hung in the balance. Jack felt heartbreak grip him, but a glimmer of hope flickered beneath the surface. "Quickly! Let us get her to safety," the paramedic commanded, finding space amid the throng to lay her on a stretcher. The relief in the air was palpable, but Jack felt as though he were watching from outside his own body. Was it enough? Would she make it? Would they make it? Emily squeezed his arm, breaking through the haze. "Jack! We did everything we could. You did everything you could." Her eyes shone with unshed tears, reflecting gratitude and fear at once. It struck him then they were amidst something bigger than themselves. This wasn't just about rescue, it was about connection, compassion, and the threads that tie us together. As the woman was carted away, a hush fell over the crowd, people enamored by the bravery unfolding before them. Jack's heart raced with a spectrum of emotions, punctuated by the sound of sirens in the distance. In that moment, he realized he hadn't just rescued a stranger but had found purpose in adversity, rediscovering the meaning of being alive. "Jack, look!" Emily exclaimed, pulling him from his reverie. He turned to see the woman's anxious partner showing relief as he ran toward the stretcher, eyes locked on his beloved. Tears streamed down his face as they exchanged a breathless embrace, a scene of love and hope that electrified the air. Jack felt warmth bloom inside of him, mixed with his own emotions. It was all happening in slow motion, time stretched as if to allow each moment its due significance. We were part of that, he found himself whispering, a realization dawning like sunlight breaking through a long storm. Emily nodded, wiping her eyes. We truly were. This is what life's about, Jack. Helping one another, being there for each other. It's bigger than just ambitions. That struck a chord deep within him, reverberating through the internal turmoil he had faced. A rush of clarity washed over him. Yes, business could wait. His vision, his desires, they were still vital, yet they sparkled dueling reflections of his purpose. Yet here, wrapped in compassion and vulnerability, was the authentic drawing of fulfillment. Emily, you're right, he said, taking a deep breath, feeling as though he were finally in balance. It's about the connections we create, the lives we touch. I need to focus on what truly matters. And suddenly, the mysterious woman's suggestion hadn't vanished in the whirlwind of events. It lingered, transforming into a whisper of opportunity. What if he could blend hope with purpose? What if it could work? As they turned away from the scene, adrenaline coursing through their veins, Jack looked at Emily again. She was his safe harbor in a tumultuous sea, and he wanted as fiercely as ever to join her on this ride. Let's take a leap together. He said suddenly, the words bursting from his heart. She tilted her head. Confused. A leap? Exactly. Jack responded, a smile creasing his face. All this turmoil reminded me I want us to do this. The right way. No more half measures. I want us to be partners, building something that matters. Together. Her eyes sparkled with hope, mirroring his excitement. You really mean it? More than anything. In everything, Jack. She ventured, hope shimmering in her voice. Every single thing, he assured her, his heart beating steadily, his fears slipping away. No more hiding, no more compromising. Let's redefine success together. As the sounds of the sirens faded, embers of new beginnings sparked into flame. Together, they walked into the night, hearts wide open, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. A partnership forged in kindness, ambition rooted in genuine connection, their smiles bright like a sunrise on a new horizon. The night had brought trials, tumult, and moments of fear, but it also bathed them in the undeniable warmth of transformation. They would face life together, no matter how precarious the balance. And as for the business, those decisions could wait. For now, the journey ahead held infinite promise, a canvas ready to be painted with love, grit, and the unyielding spirit of connection. As they stepped forward, together, welcoming the dawn of their new path, a determination coursed through them both. Jack, the wounded CEO, and Emily, the girl with a heart full of dreams, were ready for the leap. They embraced the journey of life, hand in hand, stepping boldly into the unknown. If this story spoke to your heart, I need you to act now. Don't wait a moment longer. Subscribe immediately to this channel so you won't miss our next exclusive stories. Show your love and support by leaving a like right this second to feed the algorithm. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment with your feelings about this incredible ending. Share your thoughts and reactions, and don't let this story stop here. Share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Thank you for being part of our journey.